everybody, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to make what is called an air castle. Also, that was my last video, but we're also doing a second variation. And this one only calls for 3 fabrics, so I chose these 3. And we're going to start out by making our middle pieces, actually. The middle of our 9 patch. So I already cut one. These are 5.5-inch squares, all 4 of them. And I'm going to cut the 2 green ones. I'm going to cut right in half diagonally. And we're just going to lay them to the side. Now these 2, I'm going to stack these up. And we're going to cut these in half both ways. Both diagonal lines. And if you're not comfortable stacking them, don't cut them separately. No big deal. Now we're just going to spin my mat. Make a lot of bumps, hits. Okay, so now we're just going to do it again. Cut it diagonally. Alright, so now we're just going to lay it out because this is one of them that I need to lay out to see. So we're going to lay out these pieces. These are going to go here, and here, and here, and here. So they're going to look kind of like a ladder, I think is how that is. But okay, so our black pieces are, let's start with the other ones. These pieces are going to go in the top, and the black's going to go on the side. So that means this piece is going to go in the top and the side, top, side, and same thing, top and side. So we are going to just sew these parts together, these on all of them. So to do that, I'm just going to fold it over. And I don't like to pin these, so I'm actually going to clip it. I have some of these wonder clips. I don't like to pin it when it's on the diagonal because I don't want it to stretch it. The clips might do that anyway, but it's less of a chance. Alright. Then we'll go sew these up. We'll put the others together. This one's almost, I mean, it's pretty much the same steps as the first one. You just lay them out differently. But, you know, not much differently. Okay, so I'm going to pin that one, and then I'll see you at the sewing machine. If I can get my mouse to work. Alright, so now we're just going to sew up this one side. Careful not to stretch it. Move it just a little. Through. I'll trim them off. I'll see you back at the pressing mat. Let's get the pressing mat. Cut these apart. I do have a member on my channel. I'd like to thank Kate for joining. You are appreciated. That just gets her videos early. Couple behind the scenes pictures. And well, my gratitude. All right, we just ironed all those to the dark side. Now we're going to lay them back out. You want to make sure your long ends match up and your white pieces at the top. So just like that. So now we are just going to fold it over and we're going to sew up. The green piece is bigger, so I do want to flip it over so I can try to center it the best I can. It doesn't really matter because we are going to trim it down. Again, I'm going to use the clips. I didn't in the last video. In the last video, I did do pins, and it stretched a little bit. So I want to see if this helps or if it doesn't. And it's just a myth. I don't know. Just line up your edges. Try not to pull at it. And one more. Alright, so we're going to go to the sewing machine and sew those up. We're just going to, I didn't pin it so the clips aren't as steady, secure, I don't know. So we're just going to line it up and then sew right down through. Move it over. Just feed them all on through. Oh, that one twisted on me. That'll be alright. Sorry, I hit the camera there. I am prepping for the live video. Or live so long. I have got my cutting video done. I got my pieces cut. It'll be up soon. It might be up before you see this one, so I don't know. We'll see. Alright, let's head back on over to the cutting table, pressing mat area. We are going to need to press these. We're just going to stack them up there. We're going to press them to the green side on this one. And the reason the green's bigger is because we trimmed the other one down. They all started out at 5.5 inches. But we sewed up the other one, so it took it down. So we shouldn't have to trim too much off of that side. So to do these, we are just going to cut them to 5. So we're going to line up our 2.5 right there. That dot, and then the diagonal there. And then we're going to try not to let it slide. We're going to trim it off. See, there's not much coming off of that side because we already had it trimmed. Now we're going to take it to 5. Line up the diagonal and both your sides. I'm just taking off a little bit. Just do all of those. You shouldn't have to take too much off of these. Perhaps I should have started out with a bigger square, but oh well. Yep, this one's a little small, but it'll be all right. And you could also do it this way, and you would still just line up your 2.5 on that little dot there and your diagonal, and just trims it a different way. Same thing really though. You line up your 5. That should line up your diagonal and your 2.5. This one is a bit small. It is okay though. I do like doing it this way better. I feel like it gets me better results. So actually, if I did it again, and I think I did on the last one, I should have started out with 6-inch squares, and then, or, you know, a little more than 5.5, because these are sort of short, but it'll still be fine. I promise it will all work out. Okay, so next we're going to do the half square triangles, which I've done a lot, and forgive me, but I already sewed them up. And I did it just the same way I always do. I did one line, and I sewed a 1/4 inch on either side, and for that one I did the Meralda's map for both of them, and I did one with the, oh, what is that called? The Deathly Hallows, and one, is that what it's called? The Deathly Hallows? One with Slytherin. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. It's been a while since I've watched the movie. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. So we're going to do... Excuse me. I'm going to just sew a little bit on that so it's not so close to the edge because I cut it crooked. But it'll be okay. I just need it to be a little bit deeper. See, I cut all this extra off by accident. It's okay, though. I promise. Now we're just going to iron it open. And sometimes, and you guys might not know this because, you know, sometimes I don't, or a lot of times I don't sew on camera. But sometimes if my rows are done before some of the blocks, I'll sew my rows together already. Like my top and bottom row is going to be, all the blocks to it are going to be done. So I really could sew them together before I finish my middle one. And sometimes I do that because then it helps me with my chain piecing. Like when I'm doing that, if I need another block to sew, then I'll use it. Okay, so, I'm sorry. We lined up the diagonal there as close to this edge as possible. And then trimmed off that. Now, this one we're going to line up the 5 and the diagonal. And we're not going to have much at all to cut off. I don't know why my blocks are smaller on this one. This block in general is going to be a little bit smaller. But I promise it'll be fine. I am not worried about it. Same thing, lined up the diagonal, switch it around, line up your 5 and your diagonal, and that'll put these two right into place. And then just trim them right off. Well, okay, 2 more. close to the edge as possible. I'm still taking a little bit off. Spin it around, diagonal, 5 straight lines. All right, one more. It's going 2 different ways. I want it to lay flat, so I have to fix that. Line up the diagonal as close to the edge here and here as possible, with still taking a little bit off. Spin it around, line up your diagonal again, and your 5, and that should line up everything else. Okay, so now we just have our middle block to do. So I'm going to show you it. It's just like the last one. If you watched it, you'll know. So I already sewed these 2. And here's what I did. I drew a line down the middle of these 3-inch squares. It's very hard to see. It is a pink pin on black. Very hard to see. You can't see that. I can barely see that. But it is there. So then I laid them like this. And I sewed down. Let me lay them to the side. And now we're going to lay this over here, this 1/4 inch line, right on that, and trim it off. Spin it around and do the same thing. Put those into my scrap quilt. Now, we're going to take this, iron it open, and then we're going to lay these with the line going this way. I'm actually going to get off of here because heat makes that disappear, and I don't want it to disappear. I can already barely see it. I'm going to put a pin in it there. Same thing, line's going this way. I want it to go that way. I'm going to snowball it. And I'm going to put that there. Now we're going to go to the sewing machine and sew those up. But here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to lay my block back out. Now I'm going to need to cut a little more, but it's okay. So we're going to lay, this is going to go here, and this one's going to go here. These are going to be opposite that. And then these, just like I said, are going to go here. It's going to be the white. I did this wrong. Wait a minute. Did I do this wrong? No, I didn't do it wrong. It's going to be those 2 and these 2. So your black is going to touch your green, and your green is going to touch your black. Black and green, green and black. So now I can actually go ahead and start sewing these together. So I'm going to sew that, but I'm also going to take this over, and I'm going to pin this so I don't, because I am doing it with not just picking it up and sewing. So I'm going to pin that, and then I'm also going to pin this one, because I can make 2 stitches, 2 chain pieces without having to use a starter or an ender. So let me show you. Let me go over to the sewing machine. Now I just have my regular piece in there, and I'm going to just line that up on that pink line that we can barely see, and I'm going to sew down through. Now, since this is the only piece I'm sewing, in order to get to the other side, I would have to either just cut it off or use an ender or a starter or whatever I'm using. So instead of doing that, I brought this over, and I'm just going to do it instead. And then I'm just ahead of the game because I've already got my row started. And now I don't recommend this if it's a new pattern or you're new to it or or you're just new to sewing in general, or you get confused easily, don't do it. I mean, there's no shame. I'm going to take that pin out. But then I can come back around here and I can sew this one down. And then I brought my second one down also, so I can just sew straight down through it. And I know to sew the side with the pin on it because I pinned it, and I knew there's no way I got confused because I did it while I was over there thinking about it. I didn't just willy-nilly bring it over here and hope for the best. So now we're going to cut these apart, and I'll see you back at the cutting table or pressing mat or whatever you want to call it. We're going to lay that to the side. I am going to just smooth these out a little. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to lay this 1/4 inch line on there and slice it down. Oh, see? Spin it around. Same thing. Lay it on the 1/4 inch line. All right. Lay those in my scraps. We're going to bring this up here. Press it open. And there you have it. It is beautiful so far to me. I don't know what you think, but now we are going to line this up, square this up. Let me find my 1s and 2s. So we're going to take the 2.5 point and put it there and here. And if we've done it right, it's going to line up here and here, which it does. So we're just going to trim that off. And we do the 2.5 because that's our halfway point, and because our block is going to be 5 inches. So now we just lay the 5 inches, the 5 point down here, and both of our lines there. And we just trim off these sides. And now we're a little bit ahead because we've already sewn part of our rows there. So now we're just going to take this, and this is up. So we're going to just sew this together. We're going to pin this for it to be sewn together. Let me bring this back. I should have left the pressing mat there. So now we're just going to iron this to the inside. That one bunched on me. Or I did that actually. We're going to press this to the inside. The reason we're doing that is because I want the middle one to go to the outside so these corners are not bunched up even further. So now we're just going to pin this. That is a little wonky. I see that. I'm not sure why, but it'll be all right. So we're just going to pin this because then it'll be our next one. And then I'll just grab the others as we go. So we'll head back over to the sewing machine. And we're going to start with this one that we just did. And then we'll go back to our first one. I'm going to switch that over. Just so our seams will line up if they'll line up. I don't know. Some of these blocks seem to have come out smaller than they should have, so I don't know. It might be a smaller block, but it'll be okay. So now we're going to come back up here and cut our last one off and our middle one. And I'm actually going to start with the middle one now because now my rows will end up in the exact same order as they would have. I'm just going to fold it over and sew down through. And then I'll do the same with the the bottom one. Oh, I almost folded it wrong. Yeah, I almost did it wrong. Double check your layout, people. Ladies and gentlemen, you could make a mistake. So now I could, and actually I'll show you this. I'm going to cut off my top 2 rows. And I'm going to come back over here. And we'll press them the way I want, which was to the outside for the middle one. And to the inside for the top one. And if I was, like, this is how I do it. If I'm not filming, this is how I do it. So then I lay that back out. The top, I want all of the yellow, or the Meraldus map on the outside. I'm not sure why that's, because it's even, but whatever. It'll be fine. So then I would just fold it over, and we'll pin it. And this is yet another thing, then I wouldn't have to use a starter or a stopper until I'm done with this row. And that's only because I need to sew the one that's on there to this one. So we're just going to pin this up here too. And then we'll go back over here to the sewing machine and sew it up. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off. I don't like to have a bunch back there. I really don't like to do these where it's not straight line, like where I sew on the bias with it already being cut. I really don't like them. I seem to have messed up several times. It's just not my thing. So I probably would, if I was making a whole quilt out of this pattern, I probably would end up making 2, because I would have to do my modified half square triangles like that. So we're going to come back over here, and we will iron this to the outside. Nope, to the inside. See, it all just looks all twisty, and I hate it, to tell you the truth. But it's okay. It's just one block. I'm not even sure. My last one didn't turn out this bad, so see that? Look at that. That is terrible. But whatever. It's not that terrible. So we just fold this over, and we will pin. And pin again. And pin this seam. Ouch. Pins are sharp, people. Pins are sharp. And here. And I'll just hold the top. We're going to go over and sew it up. Alright, let's see what we've got. Got a mess, people. That's what we have. A mess. It'll be okay, because when I'm sewing it, like I said, I don't sell it, so it's no big deal. When I'm sewing it, or yeah, sewing up the blocks, I'll make it work. It doesn't look too bad. It's not too bad. But there it is. It is called, what's it called? Air Castle. Well, the second variation on Air Castle that I have done. It looks like something we've done before, but I don't know what I'm looking for. Actually, I know exactly what it looks like, except for it was this one, which was the one that they called Card Trick with a Twist. But it looks very similar. See, on that one, that one came out perfect because I sewed extra blocks on it because I didn't want to deal with it. See how it's just all twisted, and honestly, I prefer doing it the other way. So if I ever do them again, just know I'll have extra blocks. If you were wondering. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you make it and love it and post pictures. Show me everything you've got. And I'll see you next time. Y'all have a great day.